The line that stuck out for me the most this morning was the one about not wanting to lose my health insurance from FSG. I don't know if that one stuck. That almost encapsulates the last 25 years of my work. You know, there's this thing happening that we all want to take advantage of, this distributed peer-to-peer, bottom-up thing, you know, and as one of the publishers was talking about, it's an opportunity to do scaled publishing, right? So instead of selling 100,000 books at a $1 markup through regular distribution, we could sell 5,000 books at an 80% markup and make more money, and isn't that fun? The idea that we're still addicted or committed to highly centralized scams, right? Like health insurance, which is a scam that's based on a scam that's based on another scam. I mean, this is not healthcare, right? This is basically something that's set up to, well, it's something set up, it's married to big pharma and big medicine in a way that just doesn't make us healthy. But how are you going to get out of that, right? What if you need an antibiotic? You know, you'd rather, I mean, the deductible you pay now when you go to the doctor is higher than the doctor gets, but that's a whole other story. But it's not, in that we are stuck inside what I call programs that are not necessarily of our own making. They're not even necessarily things that we are aware of how they started or who started them, but to which we are absolutely committed and that we accept as given circumstances of the universe in which we live. Gotta have health insurance, right? I need a car. Well, I gotta get to work. So why do you need a car to get to work? You need a car to get to work because your town was designed in part by people who were lobbied by the auto industry to create a town that needed a car, right? Why do you need a job at FSG? You need a job at FSG because you need health insurance, because you need health insurance because of the big pharma, because of big med. For me, the beauty and the possibility offered by digital technology was for people to see the programs contextualizing their existence, for people to see, oh my gosh, not just my computer is programmed or the net is programmed, but once they see that, they look out in the world and say, oh my gosh, the grid pattern in New York, someone came up with that. It didn't just arise naturally. Right? Oh, the education system, government, my religion, all of these things that seem like pre-existing conditions are actually programs written by people with particular agendas. Not conspiratorial necessarily, although a lot of them are. So that was the insight that I had 25 years ago, the first time I touched computers, was that, oh gosh, it's all, you know, social construction, it's all programming. So I went and wrote a series of books trying to help people have that insight in different areas, whether it was Judaism, to say, oh, look, if you actually read Torah, you'll find out that Judaism was this invention of people. You know, it happened because of text, and now that we could write our own laws, we're going to have a contract, a covenant with God, and wow, isn't that cool? You know, and of course, a lot of people didn't want to hear that, because the idea that these things are made by people somehow makes them less holy, you know, which is also bizarre. Or I applied it to business, saying, oh, your business plans, the way you're doing work, the way you're organizing your company is sort of based on a social construction that doesn't really work in today's economy. Or the book I wrote right before this one was called Life, Inc., and it was really looking at the invention of centralized currency and saying the stuff we call money isn't really money. It's a kind of money that was invented at a particular moment in history. It squashed out the other kinds of money, and it had a particular purpose, which was to serve people who had money. Really, it was a way for people who had money to make money by having money and repressing transactions and stop this awful rising middle class. So what occurred to me after writing that book and still seeing the way people were dealing with digital technology was that the insight that I was so busy trying to apply to everything else in the world wasn't being applied to digital technology itself. In other words, it's as if the very tool of enlightenment for me, the very tool. It's almost as if people, I remember when I saw people taking acid in the parking lot of an AC/DC concert and just smashing beer cans on their head and thinking, my God, you can take acid and just do that. It's the way looking at people using the internet and using computers now looks to me. Oh my gosh, you can go on these tools and still just subscribe to the given programs. You can talk to a kid about, and that's the other amazing thing. I wrote this book called Playing the Future that turns out to be really wrong. In the mid-90s, where I was saying, don't worry, even though we don't understand how this technology works, our kids will. These are going to be what I call digital natives and screenagers. They're going to speak the language like natives, or we're immigrants. They're going to grow up and they'll be able to discern everything. Turns out kids are way worse at discerning truth from fiction, at understanding the agendas of the programs they're using, understanding the biases of the websites they're on. You talk to a kid and say, what's Facebook for? Oh, Facebook's here to help me make friends. Right? They don't get it. Right? They don't, as we do, as jaded old people, that there's a boardroom at Facebook and they're not sitting in there thinking, how do we help little Janie make more friends? Right? They're thinking, how do we monetize Janie's relationships? How do we create an avenue for the viral peer-to-peer marketing things? They're not interested. They're interested in Janie's friends, but not in Janie. So this book, which I don't really want to talk about that much today, because it's out there. Buy it if you can. Even if you can't, just buy it or just give money. That's fine. It's funny. I mean, for me, it's two separate things. I want to make money, and I want you to read the book. And often it just has nothing to do with each other. It's like, give me money, and you can have the book for free. So just read it. This is sort of a Hail Mary pass to both people and people in business to say, I get that you don't want to know how this technology works. I understand that you think programming is some really foreign, horrible thing. I get that. That you're like the first generation of people when we were introduced to text. It took us 1,000 years to decide that learning 22-letter alphabet wasn't such an arduous task, right? It took 1,000 years till people decided, oh, we could read too. It doesn't just have to be the rabbis, the priests, and the kings. We can actually learn 22 little sounds here and get this. So I understand this generation won't learn how to program. But what I thought, this is cool. This looks like it's a button, but what it does is it makes a light go off there. Watch this. And then the human being pushes the button. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's just in some ways it's perfect. She's a robot. She's a human robot. The cyborg. There's just something perfect about pushing a button to make a person do something. It's like the dumbwaiter sort of Jeffersonian era technology. It's something perfect. The Turk, the mechanical Turk, with the chessboard. I thought, if I can't teach people programming, if I'm not going to inspire people to understand programs, at least I can inspire them to understand the biases of the media they're using. And by biases, I mean, what does the media tend towards versus what it doesn't? Right? All media, all technology are biased, right? Guns don't kill people, people kill people, but guns are more biased towards killing than, say, can openers are, right? Can openers are biased towards packaged goods or something like that. Guns are biased towards violence. So what are the biases of digital media? And if we understood those, people could make more intelligent choices. So there's like a simple one would be like, do not be always on, right? Digital technology is biased towards asynchronous exchange, right? And that's because it's built on asynchronous code. It's built on sequential code that doesn't really live in time. So when you think back, if you were on the net back in the early days on places like The Well or Usenet and Conversations, the beauty of those conversations was that you had all the time in the world to respond. Right? You would download the conversation to your computer, you would read it, you would think overnight or for days about how you wanted to join that conversation. You type up your paragraphs, you'd upload it back to the internet, and then it would be there. So the beauty of the internet was that you didn't have to be as quick-witted as you were in real life. You could actually be slower. It was like chess by mail. But when we take a digital asynchronous technology and attach it to our bodies in a way that it's supposed to vibrate when every little ping or tweet or CNBC, whatever alert gets pushed at us, what happens? We end up working against the bias of the media. We can't keep up. We feel like we're not in the present. We feel like we're not even in the past. We're desperate. Right? And what happens? Our nervous systems react in a negative way. Right? We end up getting what they call a phantom vibration syndrome, right? Where you think your cell phone is vibrating on your thigh even though it's not there. Right? That's not an adaptation to technology. That's a maladaptation to technology. That's the sort of a 911 operator or air traffic controller kind of symptom of a fried nervous system.